Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar and give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or otherwise you could donate to my ministry and the charities that I support at garethcahoon3@gmail.com on PayPal. Or otherwise you can look me up on YouTube, X and TikTok, but especially in YouTube where you'll be able to see the videos that get banned on other social media accounts. And you can also check out my created playlists for recently added videos and previously added videos. So this one here is Discover of Altalena, powerful symbol of Israel's need for unity, becomes the bone of political contention. Ben-Gvir announces discovery. Netanyahu reportedly films separate statement to avoid sharing stage. The wreck of the ship Altalena, whose sinking in 1948 has become one of the Jewish state's most potent symbols for the need of internal unity, was found intact at a depth of 503 meters, several dozen kilometers off the coast of Israel. The sensational discovery was announced by National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and Heritage Minister Amihai Eliyahu, both of the Jewish power Otzma Yehudit party, and was quickly dragged into political manoeuvring and election campaigns, despite the ship's story being seen as the most searing warning against intra-Israel fighting and violence. The ship had arrived on Israel's shores shortly after the Declaration of Independence. It was loaded with immigrants, but also carrying weapons, military equipment, and fighters of the Argoon, also known as Etzel. The Argoon militia touted the right-wing ideology of revisionist Zionism, and today is seen as the forefather of the Likud party. The organisation was led at the time by the late Prime Minister Menachem Begin, and had already signed an agreement to be absorbed into the newly formed Israeli Defence Forces, which was dominated by the Irgun's former rival, the Haganah. David Ben-Gurion, the first Prime Minister, demanded that every piece of equipment be handed to the Israeli Defence Forces rather than to the partly still independent units of the Argoon, as Begin demanded. However, Ben-Gurion feared this would become the seed of an army within an army, and ordered the ship to be shelled from the shores of Tel Aviv, eventually sinking it. Clashes broke out between the IDF and the Irgun troops throughout the city, and 16 Irgun soldiers and 3 IDF soldiers were killed. However, Begin, while still on board the Altalena, gave the command to stop the fighting and avoid a civil war at all costs. Both Ben-Gurion's ruthless determination to establish a state monopoly on all weapons, enforcing unity and the primacy of the state, as well as Begin's decision not to fight back to avoid civil war, have since been hailed as key moments in the creation of the one and only united Jerusalem. But with the discovery of the Altalena coming at the time of perhaps the most extreme polarization within Israel since those days, the ship's rediscovery and its announcement quickly became politicized. Jewish power ministers Ben Gvir and Eliano chose to announce the discovery on their own, foregoing a joint statement with the defense ministry, the military, or the Likud party, as could have been expected. At a press conference later on Monday, Ben Gvir lashed out at Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, who had filmed and published his own video statement outside the Etzel Museum in Tel Aviv rather than join Ben Gvir and Eliyahu on stage. The ship said Ben Gvir is a symbol of the national camp, that for years they tried to boycott, silence, and exclude from legitimacy. Menachem Begin knew the taste of the people not wanting to be photographed with you on the same stage. Ben Gvir's associates claimed to Ynet News that Netanyahu's ostensible refusal to be seen with him indicates an intention to cooperate with Gadi Eisenkot's bloc and shut out Jewish power after the elections. Ben Gvir was good for him for 4 years and precisely now to return to boycotts and avoid even being photographed with him. This is exactly what they did to Menachem Begin, and it is regrettable the Prime Minister is behaving the way they said. Ben Gvir also reiterated claims by some right-wingers that they had tried to bury the story of the Altalena to erase it from the pages of history and to erase the legacy of the heroes who fought and fell, noting his family connections to the Irgun. My mother, Shoshana, may she rest in peace, was a proud Irgun fighter in the home where I grew up. I absorbed the stories of heroism, but also the stories of persecution and discrimination, he said. In his earlier statement, Netanyahu vowed that the ship would be raised from the depths of the sea while criticising Ben Gvir's decision to open fire. The Prime Minister also claimed credit for the discovery, noting that he ordered the researchers be renewed with a special budget in 2019. The wreck was found by Maritime Mapping Division at the Survey of Israel, SOI. His director, Ronnie Sadeh, said, "We succeeded in reaching the vessel at a depth of 500 metres, thanks to advanced technologies and an extensive work of a professional and dedicated team at sea." The ship had floated off the coast for several weeks after being fired upon, before being towed out to sea and sunk there. Ben Gvir and Eliyahu later said that it was found over 20 kilometres west of Tel Aviv, outside Israel's territorial waters. It is hard to overstate the place this event holds in Israel's history. Commander Channel 12 News, Amit Segal himself, a descendant of an Irgun family. For some, it carries the weight of Lee's surrender at Appomattox. For others, the Washington quarreling his own officers at Newburgh, ending a mutiny over unpaid wages with an appeal to their patriotism. So this ship seems to have stirred up an argument in the Likud camp, and it seems to have been found at an ostensible time when it's 2 months before the elections are held and things are getting divisive in Israel. Let's remember that old statement in the Bible that says a house divided against itself cannot stand. So pray for unity in Israel, that they would join together as brothers and not fight the enemy within. Shalom.